We're going to take a look at a security driver application that allows you to maintain user IDs and inquire into user IDs. Already have this application up, and it is called P550092A. This application uses the existing security files in JDE Edwards and the existing applications in JDE Edwards. They already have interconnects built in, and this driver executes screens in P0092, P95921, P98OWSEC, and P00950. And in this example, we have a request where a particular user needs to be disabled, they've been let go or whatever. And you can focus on that user ID, even though you see it in here more than once. You can just focus on any one of them, and then you can click Disable. When you click Find again, you'll see that there's an O2 next to each one of them. It's gone and executed in P98OWSEC, the security maintenance, and it changed the value from O1 enabled to O2. And in this example, dbiles 01 cannot log in. And let's say another example, they've recently changed their password and they've disabled themselves and they're set up as O2. They want to be re-enabled, they just had the shift key on or something like that, typed it in wrong, don't want to change it. From here you can go in and you can say revise security and change them from an O2 to an O1. You click OK and you'll recognize this screen. This is the P98 OWSEC screen for modifying that user's access. And this, again, this security driver is just a link to all of those applications. But you can change it to O1, click OK, and when you click Find, you'll see that they're enabled. You can also go in and focus on it, and you can change a person's password. And based on the values in your P98 OWSEC, force immediate password change, all of those things, that is what is being used. So you could change that password. We'll do this now. We'll just change it. And because I've got another thing I'm going to demo, I'm not going to want to do that. Force immediate password change. And click OK. If you had a scenario where you had a user, and that user, if you look at these dates out here, this number of days, this is the number of days since the security has been changed, or the number of days since they've changed their password. And if your policy was such that users need to change their passwords every 90 days, and you go in here and look and say, well, maybe 120 days, if I see a user that's still enabled and that number of days is 120 days, well, it's been more than 90, I may want to disable that user ID. And then after, say, 180 days, you can go in here and look and say, nah, we've had no request to reset that password or re-enable them. You could focus on that user and you can click this delete 98 OWSEC, and that deletes that default record in the P98 OWSEC to where that user ID could not be re-enabled, and that would force them to go through your internal change management to get re-entered or reactivated, but the user ID would still exist. There is reasons why you'd want to keep that rather than just delete a user, because when you're doing your auditing and you go in and look and say, well, who was dbiles 2? the ID doesn't exist anymore. So you have no way of identifying an ex-user or a user that used to be in the organization. Another neat function of this particular application is you can take and create a new user, same as. And in this example, I have a new person that started. They're going to be doing the same thing dbiles1 does. Can you just give me a new user the same as dbiles1? Well, you can focus on any one of those dbiles1s and go up here and click copy. And it's going to bring you to an initial screen. You change this canceled to dbiles whatever you're going to do, and in this example it's going to be dbiles0. You will want to copy this information, that user ID, because you will have to enter it in more than one place, because we did not want to change the applications for P0092, 98OWSEC. We didn't want to change those applications because we're just using them. But we put dbile0 in here and we click OK. And then you'll recognize this. This is the P0092. So I have a new user, dbile0, and I'm going to use the same address number. And then you click OK. And this one here is copying the P98OWSEC default record, and of course all the other records if you have more than one. It copies that from dbiles1 to dbiles0. Over here, this is the 95921 copy, and it's copying the roles, or validating and copying the roles. And of course, behind the scene, it should have copied everything related to the P00950 in case you had user overrides. When you click Find, you see, well, I got a dbile0 here. So we're going to go over to the web. Let me log off of this one. dbile0, bile0, and click Sign In. Pick my environment. Based on my security setup, the default password is the same as the ID, and it's force immediate password change. So dbile0, and give myself a password or a new password. And I'm now signed in, and I have the exact same access as dbiles1. I'm going to sign out, and that concludes the demo. This is Dave Biles. Let me know what you think of this application.